we may as well start off with the driver. At least this is what reporters have been saying has been the driver for the weakness in equities, the fear, the VIX breaking out. I think it's more than that. And what I'd really like to see is what's happening right now and the market not be able to recover because, maybe it's not just about oil. It's a huge contributor. It's a big problem, but, maybe it's Blackstone and redemptions that they're not paying. It could be other sectors, a bad jobs report. I don't think the only reason for this gap lower opening is only the war. So, uh, you know, I didn't short it up there. For me right now, it's a no touch. Is it over or is this a pullback to buy? That's an awful lot of momentum for me to want to fade it. It's a no trade for me. I mean, I think we're going to have to do some distribution. I'm not sure that we're just going to collapse from here. Anything and everything can happen. But let me say something. You don't have to be in everything and be right about everything. In fact, you could use a market like this right now to give you market tells on other things. I got a lot of requests from the traders in the room to cover some things, so let me not dwell on oil. Anyway, looks like we have a short-term top. Okay, is this it? I mean, it was a parabola. Could be. It's not a trade for me. In fact, I'm in enough. Let's start off with the dollar. So I took partial profits in the dollar last night, and I also sold the yen. So I'm out of half my dollars here. Maybe we get a pullback to 98. This too, if we get lower yields because oil's coming off and we get a weaker dollar and the market can't fill this gap, and it looks like it's trying to here, NASDAQ's trying to. See, we left a huge gap last night. Same scenario in the S&Ps. So, it's possible. I do know some analysts like Margot Amala that was looking for a washout to new lows before a big turn to the upside. Check out that video I did with them. So let's take a quick look at the S&Ps have fought their way back, but that's a huge gap. Take a screenshot. So when I did this last night, I was thinking about all the people that are long for the last 3-4 months in this range. And if we don't fill the gap, it's a breakaway gap. And that means you have a lot of longs trapped, which means this is a real important day for the market. Because if we don't follow through and we can't close back within the circle, which is this is Gilligan's Island right here. So if Marianne and the skipper and Gilligan can't get back onto the island, they're going to be out here on a life raft. So that's my Gilligan Island metaphor for the S&Ps. I do want to cover, I was looking at sugar. So here you go, guys. That was it Friday, looks like. Looks like a bottom. I don't know if I chase, but sometimes these things start and they just don't go. And maybe you buy a little and hope you're early and buy a pullback if you get one to like 14, and be wrong under the secondary low. Some of our members also wanted a review on the grains. So definitely you guys know what I teach. So I'd be taking half off the table and hope they get cheap again. So here's the wheat. It was a rocket ship. I know some people that went to the door on Friday. So this is, it's trading just like oil. You're not getting the top, but you were long before the breakout down here. And you added on the breakout. I added this day at 552. I'll take $1 out of the wheat, take that any day and put that in the bank. Probably want to do the same in corn. Corn's had a nice run. Or if you're long DBA, that's another one. And why is my Okay, there was corn. There's beans, same thing. They've all had a nice run. You want to maintain a core because this is just the first wave out of here. In fact, let's look at the weekly on wheat. Yeah, we didn't even get to 38% yet. Okay, so that's still up at 7. So, I think this is just beginning. Can't rule out a pullback all the way back to the breakout. That would not be uh, anything that would negate it. That's all the way down at 550. That's why I say you ring the register on half. And it won't bother you as much unless you're really like me and go, why didn't I get out of all of them? So because when I get out of all of them, then all of a sudden I don't get the correction I'm looking for. And instead there's a continuation move and I have nothing on. So that's the answer, Dale. That's why you didn't get out of all of them. Sometimes I have to tell myself why I do things that the me that I brought into trading that I've had to, you know, challenge my emotions, okay, to trade. So it's a different paradigm than what we're used to. So, okay, that's the grains. I covered sugar. Why don't we cover Bitcoin? DSR 5E, a real good trader in our room, was buying it last night. So I started paying attention to it because he said he learned how to trade from me. I want to learn how to trade from him. So here's Bitcoin. It held 61.8 back. It almost yeah. So much better looking chart than a lot of things that have been pulling back. And this is the acid test for Bitcoin. Say, for example, we still continue lower in the S&Ps, we don't reverse, and Bitcoin continues to rally. That way, it separates itself from just being a risk barometer. And of course, it's turning here. The market could still go down for another month before it turns. Remember, Bitcoin topped in October, and Nasdaq did too. So your closest tie is see what it does because with Nasdaq, and maybe that correlation goes too, and it's being bought as being a non-correlated asset to risk. Narratives can change. Anyway, respectable action. Anything that's higher today with this kind of pressure, you have to respect it. So I think I've covered everything that these guys. Let me go into the room, take a look. Hey guys, anything else? Well, look, Dan went short oil. You know what, Dan? Why don't you post it when you do it? Who cares? Now, how does that help? Just letting you know, calling you out in public. Hey guys, don't come in the room and tell us what you did a day or two ago or a few hours ago. It only helps the community if you put it out there when it's happening. Now, people do that because they want to be sure they're right before they post something. And that's not authentic. And our room is going to be authentic. Okay. If I hurt someone's feelings, too bad. Uh, anyway, it's a little different than how I post, kindness and stuff. But, you know, right here, we're living in a world of sharks and barracudas. So here's all of Mike's stuff too. We have a lot of great traders. DSR is the guy who led the way in Bitcoin. Okay, it's a nice day because let's see what the S&P and some of the individual stocks are doing. Well, let's see. Nvidia, guys, we're not even at the breakdown in Nvidia. I still say it's going to break down. This was its best chance last week to just run over the bears, which it was doing in the aftermarket after earnings. But look at what happened. And then sold off Friday, following through today. This is not a bullish formation to me. Here's the daily. Here's the weekly. Now, S&Ps have already broken down. So we'll see if they're going to be able to fill the gap or not. That's a key question is do we have a gap fill or do we have a breakaway gap? And right now, we still have people trapped on a 3-month island and probably hoping everything's going to be okay. I don't think that, just from trader intuition, the way I look at it being a big picture of different parts of a puzzle, the fact that crude has come off about $15 and this is the best the S&Ps can do, maybe the expression to leave everybody with today is it's not about the return on capital, it's about the return of capital and being tactical and playing the market. Most people don't know how to play the downside. So we'll see what happens in the yen. I tried Canada too, thinking that if the market failed, I think the VIX should show you this chart. So you have a big number. They're trying to reverse it, but look at this. So if this is a breakout at 29, we left a gap. Back under 29, the markets is going to be okay again for a while, all right? But if we don't fill the gap, the measured move, I was talking about this in the room, it's about 14 points, gives you 43. So that would say there's still more left in the VIX. But just like the market's trying to fill the gap, but it looks like it's back under pressure again. In fact, the S&Ps they're at the lows. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see if maybe the semiconductors fade finally. Here's SMH. Doesn't look so great, does it? The mags, which I've been bearish forever, all the way up here, right shoulder. It's only about $4 from a measured move of this. Okay, so that looks pretty crummy. What really looks crummy, see how we're still $11 off no, $20. $20 off the high and the market's on the lows. Maybe it isn't just oil. And with that being said, it's free to join the room. The link's right there. It's really starting to hum. I see. Dan took it like a man. He said he heard my shout. He'll announce it when he puts a trade on. All right, there you go. I knew, it doesn't really help anyone when you come in. That's what reporters do, right? I've had people that interview me say, well, why did it do that? Or why is it going to do that? And I'll say, I'll let the reporters answer that. I'll read about it after it's almost over in the newspaper. Anyway, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Huge interview Wednesday with Brent Johnson. Okay, milkshake theory. You guys know Brent. I've talked to him before, but it's been quite a long time. On X, it's at the San Diego Fund, not San Diego, Santiago Fund, Gold Fund. Anyway, we're going to be talking Iran Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. EST. Adios. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See you guys tomorrow and be ready for